Wow. A lot of emotion. There's a lot of emotion in this room. Thank you. Thank you. So the really nice thing is we have lines, and I want to thank Chase and I want to thank Alan.
So that was in Philadelphia during the campaign in 2024. People in Philadelphia, I think, knew what Donald Trump was doing there. During the campaign, he was selling those ridiculous Trump gold sneakers. I don't even know what those are. But, you know, now Donald Trump is doing the selling of gold sneakers, but he's doing that with tariffing the world and then saying, I'm not going to pause the tariffs ever. And then all of a sudden in the morning, he's like, now is a great time to buy. Buy. Then after saying that he's never going to pause the tariffs, he then announces that he's going to pause the tariffs. And then before that, all of a sudden, you see lots of people trading on basically the S&P index that kind of tracks the S&P index. So all of these people are making like a ton of money buying when the markets are low. The whole thing feels exactly why we have a Securities and Exchange Commission and why we have systems of law and order so these things don't take place. But what happens when the federal level, you have the people who are tasked with enforcing the law and following it, seemingly breaking it every day? Let's bring in Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner. Hey, Larry, you saw that first clip. Philly was booing him at least during the campaign. So your city knew what was up. So maybe comment on that first, but just the lawlessness that you're seeing. You're always someone who stood up to Donald Trump. But right now, how would you describe what's going on?
I mean, it's a mess, yo. What's going on is you have a bunch of people who basically are trying to rob the train, and their job is supposed to be to make sure it's safe. That's really what's going on. We have a situation in which they are at war with equality fundamentally. Fundamentally, that's what it's about, because there is no other way to be a monarch. There is no other way to be a dictator unless you are at war with equality, and they're willing to smash any institution, break any law, destroy the judiciary, et cetera, et cetera. But your viewers already know that. Now, I do want to say this. You know, you just talked about sneakers. I got a shirt for you. How about that one? So in Philly, we use this phrase a lot, F around and find out. And that was basically Trump coming to Philadelphia and finding out. You know, this is a city that has an attitude. We got a chip on our shoulder. We are 40% white, 40% black, 20% other people of color. We're the poorest of the 10 largest cities. And if you're going to come here and F around, you're going to find out. One of the things that Trump has to worry about in the case of reform prosecutors like me, at least if we're not chicken, is that he cannot pardon the people we convict. So, for example, if I should convict Bannon, Bannon's going to have to actually do that time and not get out of it, because there is no presidential power to pardon state court convictions. Thus, he can't pardon himself for being convicted of 34 felonies in state court in New York by state court prosecutor Alvin Bragg.
Let's talk about what happened in the Oval Office yesterday, where he signs these executive orders. I want to ask you about the ones he's signing about the law firms, and as you know, a member of the bar. Why don't we start with that one? I'll get your take on that right now. Trump signing these executive orders going after law firms. What's your take on these law firms? Some of these big firms capitulating. Though, you see them in Philly, the big names on the building, so and so and so and so, that have these histories of standing up for democracy, and now they're doing deals with Donald Trump to provide pro bono service to effectuate his authoritarian agenda?
I mean, it's real simple. We should boycott them. They're rotten. We are all going to be judged by history, and there's going to be a line. And any university that is on the other side of that line, any law firm on the other side of that line, any politician on the other side of that line deserves to get what the people who betrayed us during the Red Scare got. They deserve to go down in infamy. They deserve to lose whatever financial benefit they're getting from all of this. Sadly, history is not always going to do the right thing. When you start actually looking into the history of a company like, Mercedes-Benz or Volkswagen or something like that, there's some pretty ugly stuff there. But for me, it's real simple. You know, if you're a law firm and you're going to be a scumbag, why did you become a law firm in the first place? Go out of business or I'll help you. And I feel exactly the same way about politicians who capitulate, who are profiles in cowardice. The whole bunch of them are bums, and the whole bunch of them deserve a consequence.
Larry, you're running for your third term as district attorney in Philadelphia. One of the statements that you made when you announced running for the third term is that you want this election to make a statement. You want this to be a sign of what's going to happen more broadly in the midterms. What do you mean by that? And what are you seeing across, perhaps, like Pennsylvania as a whole, not Philly, but Pennsylvania as a whole, when Trump, but, he's attacking people's Medicaid and attacking farmers and attacking people. What are you seeing as a whole? And what do you mean by you want to send that message?
Well, look, this country may well fail if we don't win the midterms. Seriously, it may well fail if we as Democrats don't take back at least the House and hopefully a chunk of the Senate. Then he is lining it all up for a military coup and to be a permanent, quote, president, unquote. So we got to win the midterms. Philadelphia is only the most important city in the most important swing state. And while this is traditionally a low turnout election, the reality is we've seen very high turnouts the last two times that my campaign was in play. It's partly because we talk about criminal justice, and that's an issue that affects a lot of people who don't always vote. In the same way, post-Dobbs, you saw a lot of women who wouldn't otherwise have voted voting. In Philly, what we have seen with our pretty awful history of prosecution and policing, at least under Frank Rizzo in the city, what we have seen is that when criminal justice is on the ballot, a whole lot of people who don't usually vote. So yes, I'd like another term, but what is really more important for the country is that we get a massive registration and a massive turnout in Philadelphia, and that this city is primed, and this state, therefore, because Philly and Pittsburgh do control who wins the state, are primed. So when the midterms come, we can shake things up and we can put some brakes on this presidency. It's incredibly important.
What are you seeing on the ground? What are you seeing on the ground right now? Are you seeing shifts? And I mean, we've seen big protests that are growing and growing. Are you seeing shifts? How would you characterize them?
Well, let me tell you the good and the bad about the protests. The good is we saw this massive turnout all over the country. The bad is that I attended the protest and it was not fully reflective of the population. I attended the protest and there were a lot of wonderful, idealistic people there, but it was not very diverse in terms of age, in terms of race. It seemed to reflect quite a number of people who were retired, an overwhelmingly white population. That's great as a start, but we got to do better. We are going to have to bring in people who are exciting other groups, who are exciting the future of the Democratic Party. And the future of the Democratic Party is young people. It's people who like AOC. It's people who like Bernie. It's people who call themselves progressives. They need to be embraced rather than rejected. And, when I went to this event and I'm hearing some nice enough but not exciting person talk about clean water, and then someone's doing a pretty lousy version of a 1960s folk song, we're partway there, but we need to go the rest of the way there. If the Democratic Party can actually include some of the constituencies or the potential voters that they are losing, can animate them to believe in government enough to come to vote, this is an easy win all across the country, but we do have to do that.
Larry, you've gone up against Trump over and over again. You've been fearless in what you've said. You've never held back. No one will ever accuse you of mincing your words and what you've said about Trump. But what do you say to people right now, though, who are seeing big firms capitulate, who are seeing media companies kiss the ring, who are seeing all of that? And people are scared. They're scared. They're living in an authoritarian regime. The chaos, or what's going to happen tomorrow. What's your message? Not just to the people in Philly, but we have a huge audience here, a huge international audience. What do you say to people right now in this moment? What should they do?
Not be chickens. I mean, come on. World War II happened. My dad volunteered and served in World War II. A whole lot of people did. A lot of 19-year-olds died in World War II. What is your problem? Say something, do something, get up, vote. Stop acting like it's over when you haven't even tried. I mean, frankly, I think there need to be consequences for people who capitulate. If they're in elected office, vote them out. If it is the law firm you use, get a new one. If you're going to a university that has a crazy endowment and takes advantage of its nonprofit status and is now capitulating to someone who wants to eradicate Black history, then why are you going there? Why are you giving them your money? They should be banned. I mean, it's time to boycott. This is ridiculous. People who don't have the guts, you need to hear about it.
Larry, where can people find out about more about you, more about your campaign?
Well, I'm so glad you asked me that, because we do in fact have this marvelous T-shirt that I indicated before, which is available and allows you to support the campaign even better than gold shoes on an orange man. They can go to krasnerforda.com, where you can donate, you can get that shirt, you can volunteer, you can express the fact that you're organizing a boycott of Paul Weiss or some other law firm that deserves it. And, you know, we're serious. We really want to do unto them what they're trying to do to us. I know that there's a good chance that Elon Musk or some other billionaire is going to drop a huge load of money because he did it in Wisconsin. He also did it to my friend Jose Garza, who's the reform DA in Austin, Texas. It didn't work, but it certainly caused a whole lot of problems. I mean, to be honest with you, I almost hope he drops $20 million, because that's $20 million less that he'll have. And it might even improve my margin. Seems to have been that way in Wisconsin. But, you know, join us. Take a look at the website. Involve yourself. We would love to have your support. This is a people's campaign. And what that means is we need you.
Larry Krasner, Philadelphia DA. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you, Ben.
Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.